Hello. So, you've now completed, hypothetically, 3 to 5 years of graduate coursework in the counseling program, and you are now a licensed professional counselor. Not quite. So, there's actually this little interim period. Maybe we would call it purgatory. I don't know if that's theologically correct, but we're going to go with that, where you are a registered intern. But you have to become a registered intern and maintain your registration before you ever get your license. So I am going to help you know what that looks like. You can find all these guidelines in the Oregon Administrative Rules, specifically 833-050. But I'm going to just lay it out for you in a few steps, and I just want you to remember throughout this entire presentation, get a calendar. Because everything is about being on time and the right month and getting things done on time. So get a calendar, and here we go. First is prerequisite. You need to take the NCE. You have to take some board-approved exam that's going to show your competence. So before you apply, go take the exam. After that, there is a host of information you need to send to the board. Step number 1 is you need to fill out a license application. All of these forms can be found on the website included on the handout. They're all board-approved forms. They're all right there, handy-dandy, one section. So first of all, fill out the license application. You'll be able to put on there information about what exam you took, and the board will be looking for those scores sent directly to them. The second piece of information you'll need is Form 2A, degree program work experience. So that's basically going to be something that you give permission to a graduate school representative, someone like Shanita or your advisor, to fill out, and they are going to basically describe the intern work you've had and the hours you've accrued while you've been in your program, and basically tell the board whether or not you can be approved for a license. So they're going to fill it out, put it in an envelope, seal it, give it back to you. You don't get to look at it. You just get to send it to the board. The third piece of information you're going to need is your professional disclosure statement. We've talked about this in class, so you should already kind of have an idea of what your professional disclosure statement looks like. But again, you're going to have to submit that to the board. I'll probably mention it later, but anytime that changes, as you're already aware, you're going to have to submit that to the board. So it's a good process just getting used to giving anything that you have that talks about you as a counselor to the board so they can approve it. The fourth piece of information you need is called an Intern Supervised Clinical Experience Plan. Basically, this is going to describe how you plan on accruing all of the required hours to be fully licensed. Again, that's 2,400 hours. 400 of those can be done while you're in your graduate program. So then there's the additional 2,000. This plan is going to lay out who your supervisor is going to be, what the supervision is going to look like, who your employer is going to be, what your work is going to look like, and basically you're going to tell the board, this is how I plan on getting the hours needed to get my license. All parties involved, your employer, your supervisor, yourself, need to have their responsibilities laid out in that plan, and then everyone needs to sign it. You should note that until the board approves your plan and your application, you are not technically a registered intern. So once they approve it, then you can call yourself a registered intern or an LPC intern, but they have to approve it. Otherwise, you're fake. So get it in quickly so they can approve it and you can actually be registered. After all of those forms, a few other pieces of information you'll need to give to the board. One is a criminal background check and fingerprinting, which you can actually contact the board directly to figure out the best way to get that information to them. You're going to need a transcript sent from Western directly to the board. And then, of course, there's the application fee, $172.25. So I recommend saving some quarters now so you have it, in 3 to 5 years. Yeah, that would work. Just a few things to note about registering as an intern and then maintaining that registration. If anything potentially changes with your work or your supervision, you need to let the board know. If your supervisor is going to change, if supervision might end, if location changes, if employment changes, if you move, if your phone number changes, if your email changes, if you change anything on your professional disclosure statement, anything changes, contact the board. especially if anything changes in your plan. If you lay out some details in your plan about how you're going to accrue hours and that changes, you need to let the board know, because if you accrue any hours under an old plan and when you submit them something's changed, they're not going to count. And so we want as many hours to count as possible so we can get our license as quickly as possible. So if anything changes, let the board know. Also, when you renew your registration, you need to renew it every year, and you need to renew it with a form, an updated copy of your PDS, and of course a fee. And you need to do it within 30 days of the first day of the month when you initially registered. For example, I applied to be a registered intern on February 18th of 2014. I would then need to complete my renewal for registration within 30 days of February 1st of 2015. This is why I say get a calendar. Know what month you're applying, know what month you need to renew, and stay on top of it. Don't wait until the 30 days, because if anything lapses, it doesn't count. That comes with hours. So when you're reporting hours as a registered intern, first of all, remember that we've been told in class the hours you accrue within a month need to be supervised that month. So if I accrue hours in January, I need supervision for those hours in January. Same for February and March. So you do that per month, and then you report those hours every 6 months. So if I'm reporting for January through June, and if I am late at all on any part of those reports, the hours don't count. So again, get a calendar, know when you're reporting, send it in on time, because otherwise it doesn't count. Another thing to be aware of is you can put your registration on hold with a written request and explanation. You can do that for 90 days if you just need to put your plan on hold, need to put accruing the hours on hold for some reason. But you need to let the board know within 10 days of returning to practice, and if you let those 90 days lapse, your registration is canceled and you start all over. So again, get a calendar, write down dates, put reminders in your phone, put sticky notes. Just always be in contact with the board. Send communication. Just be aware if anything changes. They need to know. I think I've said that. I think you're getting the point. You're going to want to be a registered intern and renewing it every year until you get all your hours, and then you get your license, you're a licensed professional counselor, and then you have a whole different set of renewal requirements. So that's different. This is when you're a registered intern. That's when you're an LPC for real. Yeah, so have fun, good luck, get a calendar, highlight dates, do things on time, and get those hours in. Get them in, and then you get your license, and then that's awesome.